To the Thug Jitsu Master and Squid Show.
Episode,
what is this, 3 or 4?
This is 4.
This is 4. I'm sorry, I can't count that
episode
high.
4.
Episode 4. We got a very special guest, trainer of champions, head coach at TriStar Gym, Firas Zahabi. How you doing, Firas?
I'm doing great, my man. Thank you for having me, guys.
Welcome to the show. It's so cool to have you here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
What's it like being around all that gold?
The gold. It's a great experience, and definitely I try not to think about that kind of stuff. I just kind of focus on the fight and what I think is going to happen in the fight. I'm one of those people that has tunnel vision, like things are going on around me. I'm the type of guy I don't even notice it, Mm-hmm. And when I sit back and think, definitely all the titles and all that, there's really something special, But in the hay of it, I wasn't even my mind was so elsewhere that sometimes I look back and I'm like, it's a bit of a strange experience, but George is very similar. After he beat Bisping, he asked me who did I just beat? I'm like, you just fought Michael Bisping. He's like, welterweight. I'm like, no, middleweight. He's like,
that sounds
I know where he was coming from. It was unbelievable to him. It was just so unbelievable. I'm like, dude, congratulations, you're the middleweight champion of the world. He's like, middleweight, really? I'm like, yes, middleweight. I was like, wow, he was so happy, but he was just in awe. He was in shock. But George is like that. He's worse than me. His tunnel vision is like. George doesn't even know there's a title on the line or not. He doesn't even think about that.
Interesting.
He's just thinking about that guy, and the guy throws this, and the guy throws that, and the guy's strong at this, and the guy's weak here, and this is what I'm going to do. And he's so, tunnel vision,
Do you have to tell him or remind him of this during the fight, or you just leave that alone and let it come out when it's over?
I just let him go on autopilot, and if I see something, he's coming off the game plan a little bit, I might redirect him slowly or give him a suggestion or two. But in the end, I really believe that the training is done. When you're in there, there's very little thinking to do. There's very little thinking to do. You either train the game plan, you either know the game plan, or you don't know it. Little reminders are okay, but too much, puppeteering. I really think trainers should be careful when they're puppeteer.
Mm-hmm.
You try to tell your fighter to do this, that. You're just confusing you.
Was his performance of Michael Bisping right on the game plan? Did he deter away from it, or?
No, he didn't deter from the game plan at all. The one thing that this did surprise me was the elbows from the bottom that he was getting hit with. And I was very concerned about that because even though he had gotten the takedown, I thought he had lost round 2. I haven't rewatched the fight, so... but I remember him thinking he was losing the exchange on the ground because all those elbows, they were landing and they were cutting him. And I was like, we got to fix this because if we're going to get takedowns, this can't happen anymore. And, luckily in round 3, we didn't need to worry about it anymore, right?
No.
But I could have seen George losing later rounds too, if that's what's going to happen on the ground when he gets the takedown. That's not good, So, which is very rare that you see it, because the thing is, I found Bisping really, when he stretched out his body, he was just so much taller than George is used to. Yeah. And he was getting an angle on those elbows that we usually don't see and don't have to deal with. And I was worried that we didn't anticipate that, and it might be a big problem, But luckily it worked out.
It really worked out. And you go.
No, after all that time, after all that George being out for so long as far as competing, and then you guys, or he makes this decision. How much input did you have on that decision, or how much did he come to you and you guys go through that?
I told him, I always tell him I think he's going to fight again. That's what I told him all 4 years. He's like, and he told me too he would fight again. I thought it would be way sooner, I got to be honest. And now even when his last hiatus, he told me he's not sure what he's going to do. I told him personally, I think you're going to fight again. And I know he knows I know him very well. And today I still think he's going to fight again, personally. If you ask me, I think he's going to come back. Why? Because I know George. He's a ridiculously competitive human being. Yeah. And everyday life for him is just too slow. He needs an adventure. Yeah. It's not the money, it's not this, it's not that. If he's healthy, he'll fight. If he's not healthy, I would get in the way. I would roadblock him. I wouldn't let him fight.
Is he healthy right now? Because I know he gave up the middleweight title.
Yeah. He is having some
stomach issues.
He's having some health issues.
Intestinals.
He's taking care of them. He's very good with that. His body's like his,
temple.
Yeah, he takes care of his body. Like if he has a sprain or whatever, he'll take care of it. He's good. He knows that his body is his business and he needs to keep his business running smooth. And he's taking care of it. He's doing a lot to take care of it. I trust he'll get out of it. It's not going to be a problem in the future. However, I think if he's healthy, there's not much that's going to stop him from fighting again, unless he finds some new passion in life.
Yeah.
Which could happen. I just don't think. I think martial arts is so engraved in his personality that it's unlikely something else takes its place.
He's probably not going to stray away from it too much.
Yeah, you talking about George and his passion, but you have to have a passion to be coaching all these guys, right? So, what do you enjoy? Like, George is still in the gym, right? So, what do you guys do when you're not focused on getting better as martial artists?
If I'm not training and prepping guys, I'm with the family. And then the thing is, I train my sons too, and I train my wife. So it's more training when I'm with the family.
Are your sons going to be fighters?
I don't know if they'll be fighters, but they have to be black belts. You know, that's what I
Okay.
tell my sons. You have to be a black belt, then you do what you want. Yeah, but after you get your black belt, your life is yours again.
After you get that college degree.
Degree
That's
that's
what
it is.
Exactly.
Let you know your kid's going to be safe too,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just be a mentally good person to the world.
How old are your boys?
9 and 7.
Oh,
9
that's
and
awesome.
7. I have a daughter too, so.
Does she have to be a black belt also?
Let's say purple. Purple. I want it to be purple.
And what? We're just talking jiu-jitsu? We're talking multiple.
Jiu-jitsu, but my jiu-jitsu, there's takedowns and lots of takedowns. So I
Okay.
want them to be like, for instance, like wrestling black belts and jiu-jitsu black belts or judo black belts, you could say.
You have your own belt system?
I don't have my own belt system, but for me, I did not take out the takedowns. Like I think that was a big mistake because if you look at judo, jiu-jitsu comes from judo comes from jiu-jitsu. They took out the takedowns at one point. The Brazilians did it. They discarded the takedowns. They made them a secondary. I think that's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Huge mistake.
This whole
And-
pull and guard thing is
Yeah,
weak.
it's not beautiful either.
No,
No, not
I'm gonna
at all.
slide
Training you
under.
for 20 years and this is what you did. You got into a fight. You jumped on your
Yeah,
back.
if they would have just took all the judo.
guard!
Is that what we did for 20
Yeah,
years?
because if they blended
Oh.
that with what judo has, the throws and stuff,
It'd be beautiful.
yeah, I think
It'd
that's
be
probably the next
unbelievable.
progression of jiu-jitsu. Hopefully they.
Well, look at George. I mean, he's a great jiu-jitsu guy with a great wrestling.
Yep.
That's what jiu-jitsu should look like. Look at Damian Maia. He's great at wrestling. He's great at jiu-jitsu. That's what it should look like, in my opinion. It's funner on the ground. I get it, but you gotta take your medicine too. And the takedowns are just as fun after a while.
Yeah,
Personally, I love the takedowns.
There's not a lot of like hand. I wrestled like high school and college, and it's like not a lot of hand fighting. Like it's as soon as someone grabs a hand, they're sliding in, or they're trying to get under or get to the ground as fast as possible. Not even in the prettiest way.
Yeah, and when you're not dictating how you get to the ground, then you're not
They
necessarily.
don't even care. They just want to be on the ground no matter
And
where.
then they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's like, I just get there and then I'll figure it out.
Like, is that really the best?
I don't have any money, but I'm going to New York City. And when I get there, I'll figure it out.
Figure it out.
That's what they're doing. You train George, you train Rory, you train a lot of guys, man. But what's it like having not necessarily what's it like having so many, because we know you have so many, but is it everybody in your gym a killer? Do you only have like the best guys in the world?
I train all levels. Okay, so I even teach the basics class at TriStar.
Okay.
I love teaching every level. However, I do spend a lot of time with the pros. If I had to choose one level to teach, it would definitely be the pros because it's more exciting. It's more the problems are more interesting to solve. However, I'm in the gym all the time, and I believe that if I teach a beginner armbar, like I learn something new about armbar, I'm really, I really find that the truest masters, they master the basics, and the basics are so complicated you can't call them basics anymore at one point. Because just even, like, one guy I had the privilege of training with is Hodger Gracie, right? And Hodger was the type of guy, he'll do triangle choke, but he'll do it in a way that'll mystify you because when he explains your triangle choke, a move you've been doing every day for 15 years, you didn't know these 5-6 details that make all the difference.
Right.
And why he can triangle choke the top guys in the world and you can't. And it's that little detail, he calls it invisible jiu-jitsu, and it's fascinating. He's a fascinating human being. And he's probably arguably the greatest jiu-jitsu practitioner in history.
Yeah.
And when you see him wrestle, when he rolls, he just does the most basic moves. And you might think you know what he's doing, but when you ask him, you're like, the stuff you didn't see him do is
Little
really
intricacies.
It's really like, it's unbelievable.
I have this theory about that I like to put in this way. I don't believe they're black belt moves. It's just black belt technique. Like there's not a move that you can show a white belt that a black belt doesn't do, right?
Exactly.
Or a black belt that a white belt doesn't do. But it's the way the black belt moves. It's like that elite level.
How often
details.
in a fight, in UFC fight, do we see a move and we're like, what's that? We don't know. It happens once in a while, but the majority of times, world championships are won with moves you've seen before.
Yeah.
It's the right time, the right place, and certain details that most people don't know.
Yeah, we're not. You don't really see any new move. There's not.
It's rare. It does happen.
It does happen. It's very rare. You know, usually it's like a variation, like the Mighty Mouse kind of.
Return to an armbar.
The return to an armbar.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
I hate when people call that a suplex.
It's not a suplex.
It's not a suplex.
No, it's just a mat return.
It's a mat return. I hate that. Come on, man. It's wrestling. I'm
suplex sounds good though.
It sounds pro wrestling.
How about pile driver?
It was like a half pound.
I'm kidding.
I would pile drive somebody in a fight if I could. I hit a Boston Crab in the gym once.
I've hit a bunch of Boston Crabs. Boston Crabs are shit. Boston Crab really works. That is the one move that really transitions over. Like the Boston Crab, like the walls of Jericho. Any move that you kind of bending someone like
in their back.
Yeah, it's breaking their spine.
Did you see that? It was hitting an MMA fight a couple months ago.
No, I haven't seen
Boston Crab. It was a
lower level
show.
MMA event.
Yeah.
But it was like on Access TV.
He hit it up. Not the guy hit it the way I didn't expect. Usually I hit it when I'm in someone's guard. I have their legs, kind of go for a leg lock, and I kind of step over and flip them onto their stomach. This guy took this guy's back, and then he turned around and grabbed the legs and bent him. Yeah.
He took the guy's back?
He took the guy's back, and then when he had the guy's back, he spun around and then scooped his ankles and bent him Boston Crab style.
Ouch.
Yeah, no, it looked super painful. It was on every media website.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I don't remember how he set it up. I just saw the finish. But you train a lot of these great guys. You say you like to start from the beginning. How many guys have come through your system from the beginning to being world class right now?
I lost track, honestly. Like, I've trained so many guys.
Listen to that. I like that. I lost track.
Honestly, I have definitely lost track. I mean, I've trained... I don't want to like throw out names out there, but I've trained so many great fighters.
Come on, throw some names. We could name drop. Just you know what?
Throw
their nickname. Drop their nickname. You don't have to use their real name.
Listen. I've worked from, like, I'm telling you, like, from Jon Jones, obviously George, Miguel Torres, Kenny Florian. I mean, the list goes on and on. I've had the privilege to work with these guys. You know, it's a privilege because I learned so much from these guys.
Yeah.
I learned so much because each one of them has something nobody else has, and then you work with him and you learn stuff from him. Of course, you show him what you know, he shows you what he knows, but these guys are literally the best mixed martial artists in history. Like, this is the apex. There's never been a higher level of martial arts going on, ever, right? Because now there's money involved, there's fame involved, everybody's racing to the top.
Yep.
And the level of skill and knowledge and brilliance, and of course going to UFCs and
training UFC level fighters.
And meeting new guys and meeting new trainers and all this wealth of knowledge. I mean, you know, working with Freddie Roach, I mean, working with Braulio Estima, I mean, all the best of the best, and these guys are just thinking on another level. It's really humbling.
You say it's humbling, but at the same time, you're working with these guys, and you're getting all this information. So, like, doesn't that technically make you the best martial artist of all time?
Up there.
There's, you know, I always say there's you know, I can hear what Freddie's saying, I can hear what Braulio's saying, but these guys have lived it so many more years than me. I feel like, okay, I know what they're saying, I don't understand it at their level. There's a level I always tell students, you know, I showed you something, you know about it. You don't understand it yet till you've made it work 1,000 different ways. You showed me you understand this component, this principle, and you have applied it 1,000 different ways, then I believe you understand it. Because you can know something and miss an opportunity to apply that knowledge because of your lack of understanding. Knowledge and understanding, I always tell people, are not the same. You know, so I think it's a very important distinction. And of course, my quest is to know everything about martial arts and have the highest level of understanding. That's my personal quest.
Mm-hmm.
Am I there yet? Definitely not in like, you know, a boxing coach will always know more about boxing than an MMA coach. A jiu-jitsu master will always know more about jiu-jitsu than an MMA master. Me, it's really global, you know.
Yeah.
I do it, I wrestle, I box, I jiu-jitsu. I really want to master and teach all the arts. But with a guy who's doing it only in one discipline, he's going to put all his eggs in one basket. He'll hit higher levels of understanding, of course.
Yeah, and the only way to hit those higher levels of understanding, basically what you're saying, is through experience.
Through experience and not doing anything else. Like, you know, obviously if you're going to coach, if you're gonna wrestle on the side, well, it's gonna take away from your boxing.
Right.
Sure.
You know, when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So that's you know how I see it. I'm an MMA coach. I like to know everything, and that's important for fighters because I always say this, you know, and whenever I have a fighter, okay, maybe he had a rough practice. Well, the wrestling coach is gonna tell him your wrestling is not good. The boxing coach is gonna tell him your boxing wasn't on point. The Muay Thai coach is gonna tell him, well, you didn't knee, you didn't elbow. And the Jiu-Jitsu coach is going to be like, well, when the guy took you down, you didn't know how to defend. Everybody thinks their discipline is always the answer.
Yep.
Where MMA coach is going to be like, listen, this is what I think you should do. And you can choose from all these different tools. And I think the MMA coach overall will have the better answer. And for an MMA fighter, he'll have the better answer.
Interesting. Well, I had a question. You mentioned, like, obviously you've trained, like, some of the best of all time. We've had a lot of discussions, like, who's really the better martial art? You have George St-Pierre, Jon Jones. Who is further along as far as, like, being, like, that perfect mixed martial artist? Like, who has all the tools that, you know?
Now you're putting me in hot water now.
I'm not trying to...
Hot water. I'll tell you.
Putting you on this hot spot. You're in the hot seat for us.
Well, it's like both guys don't even fight very much either. So it's like, it's not even like it's even ever going to be proved.
Arguably the two greatest martial artists ever is George or Jon Jones.
Sure.
And I've seen them spar. Like, I've had the privilege of watching them go at it. Okay, like, it's amazing, right?
People pay money for that.
Exactly. Think how amazing that is.
I would pay like a pay-per-view.
But George's level of knowledge, and I know John's gonna hate this. I know he's probably gonna hear, but is much higher in my opinion. His level of knowledge, his understanding of what moves work which way. And especially in terms of wealth of knowledge, especially we're talking about jiu-jitsu. George's jiu-jitsu level and understanding is much higher. Wrestling, I would even give it to George. Striking, I would say George is more, he understands more, okay? Jon Jones is very creative. Okay, he's operating on a genius level.
Yeah.
His genius. You don't know what he's gonna throw.
Because I feel like he doesn't even know. Until he does it.
He's very, how do you say? I don't know, he has a creativity when it comes to striking.
Yeah.
It's like improv.
He really is. I'm telling you, I've noticed that about him. His creativity is very, very high, extremely high. And for that, I give him incredible points. But in terms of knowing how the pieces work technically, not as much as George. And Jon Jones' biggest asset, in my opinion, is his reach. Like, I've literally sparred with the guy, okay?
Yeah, that's probably...
His reach is absurd.
It's annoying.
Like,
he's
hitting you from
so
here. You know
far
what I'm saying?
away. It's
he's in your guard. Listen, if he's in your guard, he's so tall, and his reach is so long that it's like if he was mounted on you. Because when somebody's in my guard, he's here. When somebody's mounted on me, he's here, right?
Yeah.
The angle is coming straight down. It's very dangerous. Much more dangerous than if he's in my guard.
Yeah.
However, with Jon, like when he got half guard on top of Machida, I knew that he was gonna hurt Machida. Why? Because it's kind of like being in mount for him because of the angle. You're so low on him that the strike is not coming like if it's from the
you
guard.
saw the look in Machida's face when he was just like, "Whoa, this is
I knew
much different than I've seen." I think all fight fans when he's came out against Machida were like, "Whoa, there's a big level difference going on here. He's gonna starch him."
Yeah.
On the ground, it was like
it was night and day.
But isn't it crazy for how little experience he had at that point to be able to do those types of things to that guy with that much experience?
You know, I asked Jon one time, tell me about his training, and he told me that he was a good wrestler. He told me I was never a great wrestler. That's what he told me. But he said one thing was we went to summer wrestling camp every single summer.
Yep.
You know, his dad was making sure that they were dedicated and whatnot. And he has over like 300 wrestling matches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a lot of experience. And I find that it's a myth that some people say, "Oh, the wrestlers, they don't know grappling." No, you look at any high school basic wrestling program. They do groundwork.
Yep.
We call it parterre. They do stand up and they do conditioning. The jiu-jitsu guys, they just do groundwork. No conditioning, no stand up.
Yeah,
that's true.
So they're not nowhere near as complete athletically and universally.
Yeah.
I mean, they have no stand up.
John was really like, I'm from New York as well as John. He was freestyle champ, folk style champ, Greco-Roman champ. He was pretty well rounded.
So he had a lot of experience.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is tell him, look, here's a couple of chokes. Add them to what you already know. So, I mean, 300 wrestling matches at a young age, wrestling camp after wrestling camp every summer.
Yeah.
The guy is very seasoned. I wouldn't say he's less experienced than Machida.
Yeah, and I guess when you say that experience, you think about it in terms of fights, but when you put it in that perspective, you're absolutely right. There's no way he has less experience. I mean,
He has years of competition.
yeah.
Years. And
Years.
like, I've always brought up, like, Jon hasn't felt a loss, I think, since, like, junior year of high school. Like, he won a state title his senior year, went, like, 44-0. And his freshman year of college, he won a national title in JUCO, then just transitioned to MMA. So he hasn't lost since he was, like, 17 years old. So there's definitely a real good mental advantage with
But it also
not
destroyed
losing.
him. That
Well, yeah, because
overconfidence
he had that
destroyed
thing.
him.
I can't
My
lose.
opinion.
I can't. Yeah.
Nothing can touch me.
No,
Things
John used to be
All
one of
the
my.
way up.
John used to be one of my best friends for maybe a year and a half, 2 years. We'd hang out all the time. He was training like Phil Nurses in New York City and stuff. I used to go up to Cortland, and John definitely had a little issues with he liked
Next subject.
It's what got him away from being the greatest of all time. Being probably the richest mixed martial arts fighter too. It probably wouldn't have let the door open for a guy like Conor McGregor to take as much of the pot, because Jon would still be competing and making a lot of that money and progressing the sport and the division.
Taking a lot of pie, and then they would have probably shine light on each other.
Exactly. Yeah. You look at
You put Jon Jones and Conor McGregor on Madison Square Garden
it's selling out
the first one.
in seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sold out in seconds anyway, but it's selling out before it even goes up.
Less seconds.
Less
Well,
seconds.
if you think about it, his suspensions hurt the sport.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The numbers are going to go down. He did really well with Cormier, their last fight. I mean, it was a very popular fight. People loved it and it hurt the sport after. But doesn't matter to him. That's the question. Doesn't matter that the market is sliding maybe and all these things. Doesn't matter. That's the question.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't matter, it's kind of a weird situation. Do the fans support a guy who doesn't? And these are questions for Jon later on, which I'm sure he's gonna have to face, and I hope the answers are good ones.
Yeah, well, it's guys like Jon that progress divisions. Make guys become better. Like Conor's doing it. Ronda did it for the female division. Jon was doing it for the light heavyweight division, making guys have to really up their game.
Yeah, and that changes the whole sport. I mean,
Slows it down by years.
when you have that king, that guy reigning at the top, and you have to reach that bar to even compete, the whole division gets better.
Yeah, and even the kids at home, like kids that are starting training, they're
picking up little things from Jon Jones. Like,
yeah,
they don't necessarily have the experience, but at 12 years old, you're watching Jon Jones, and you're built a little bit like him, and he's your favorite fighter, and you see this thing that he does, and you start picking up on it, and you start using it in the gym, and then you're 17, 18, and you've been doing that for 5-6 years.
Yep.
Now you're a master of that thing.
exactly.
But the worst thing is, you idolize him, you love him, he inspires you, and then all of a sudden you realize, hey, they stripped him for these reasons.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's what champions do? Then I have to do that too? Or
Yeah.
You have to understand how much influence
Yes.
people on TV and people in these, these positions have on the youth. I always think about it. That's why I know George thinks about it all the time, and it's important to us. It's very important. That's why we never watch how we talk. We try never to be insulting or rude, because I picture that if I insult people, the next day, Monday morning at school, kids are insulting each other. If George does something rude or crazy, kids are influenced by that, and that for me is important. Some people don't care, but I think it's very important.
No, you see Conor McGregor. You see all these Iron fans are just like.
There's gonna be a generation of Irish kids with a chip on their shoulder.
Dude, it's real. It's just like has a lot of influence on a whole country.
It does. But like that's what it is. You gotta have empathy, but you also have to be smart enough to recognize, like the thing with Conor. We all know, like especially being in the sport, we understand that a lot of it is confidence, but a lot of it is a character.
Yep.
He's trying to sell something.
But I find he's being genuine, to be honest.
Really?
I find that's who he is.
It is.
That's who he is. And
100% of the time.
That's why it doesn't bother me as much. But when I see guys faking it, I'm
Yes.
like,
Yeah, it's obvious when guys are faking.
when guys are trying to be like, oh, okay, so if you're rude and you're obnoxious, then I'll make money and get a bunch of sponsors. Those guys, you smell it on them. That's not who they are.
like
they're forcing it.
I smell it a bit on Colby Covington, a bit.
I don't want to name names.
I'll name him.
We'll nail names. We'll call him.
We'll do it.
I was just like, dude, you're not. That's not you.
It's not.
It's not you.
And you got to this high-ranked position in the welterweight division not even by talking. You just beat Damian Maia, so you don't even have to talk. Just win 2 more fights, and the fight is going to happen that you want. It's not. You're making places hate you. Like I loved when I thought it was beautiful when Rose Namajunas won, and she gave that.
I love what you said.
That was that brought me back, and I was like, that's why I got into fighting. That's why I got into martial arts. Like there's a beautifulness to it, and there's a kind of spiritual. It's just there's a martial art way.
Especially after the press conference that week.
Oh yes,
Jon Jones was really tearing into her.
Yeah, and I'm like,
and Rose just took it like a champ.
Yeah,
and then when she won, she had the chance to step up. She didn't.
Yeah,
what grace?
That's the proper word, grace and class.
Exactly, absolutely.
It's beautiful, really. It's beautiful. It's like, wow, that's a great person. Not only a great fighter, but you're a great person. You have that too.
I'm like, it's nice that she's a champion. I hope that she could kind of pave the way to keep that going.
It goes in cycles. When you have a champ that's nice and friendly, people start craving a champ that's a bit of a badass. And when you have the badass for too long, then you're like, okay, we want to go back to being classy again.
Yeah.
And people always crave the opposite after a while. They get sick of.
Well, George has the classy. George's classy. Always come out of the market bowing, and it's cool. It's like it's great.
When he had the press conference, George's last press conference, he turned to me and he said, "Man, the fans have changed."
Yes.
I'm like, "Oh yeah, you haven't been in here in a while."
Yeah.
I did like 50 shows since you were gone.
You let them get a little crazy.
Changed, man. The fans have changed.
They got a little bit frisky.
They got a little rowdy.
The fans have changed.
Fans got a little rowdy.
But how much of that is promotion also, Like a guy, I truly believe a guy like Conor McGregor got more promotion than a guy like George.
He's tearing it up for sure.
Yeah,
no doubt
absolutely.
About it.
Yeah.
But he's being genuine. It's him, and it works.
I believe it's him, but accentuated. It's not.
Yeah, of course. He knows he's on the mic.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
And
But he's not faking it either.
He's not.
He's not faking it.
He's one punch knocking out like everyone. So it's
calling them, but
Yeah.
calling these knockouts. But I think if you make somebody like Rose more visual, especially now since the sport is bigger, you put her in front of the world more often, then that behavior, that attitude becomes more pervasive into the sport, I believe.
Yeah, she's gonna have to. I think they just announced that she's gonna do in the rematch. I think that's. I saw that last night.
Big fight.
So she's got to get past that because, she's a champion now. But if she loses that belt, it kind of you lose a little bit of that spark. At least the influence on people being the champion and be able to push that. I hope she maybe she humbled Joanna. Maybe we'll see a different Joanna in these press conferences. I don't know. It was very weird to see her try to be a bully.
The one thing I like about Conor is after the fight, he's cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas Ronda, after the fight, a lot of times she
won't
wasn't
even
cool.
shake hands.
And that's like you got to draw the line somewhere. After the fight, it's over.
Yeah, after he lost to Floyd, he was like,
Yeah, he was cool about it.
Yeah.
He was smiling. And even
He lost to Nate.
He
Even lost to Nate.
Yeah. He showed respect.
Yeah.
He beat Jose.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I like how he treated Jose after.
Yep.
That was really
Absolutely.
classy.
I loved how
Very classy.
when he fought after he fought Nate, there was an interview. I think it was with Megan O'Leary. He was kind of walking through the back, walking and talking, and he was like, he gave really good analysis on himself, and he's like he did the right thing. He's like he just gave picture perfect breakdowns of what he did wrong, what Nate did well, and what he has to fix.
No excuses.
Not one excuse. He was a better man. He was a better man.
Like he's got. It's weird because he has. The best guys have these different combinations of these things, like Robbie who doesn't give excuses. Conor doesn't give excuses. But he's got that personality, Ronda had some of that, but he made it better, He's got good technique. He's calling knockouts.
Yeah. There was a little bit of immaturity with Ronda in some of those,
absolutely.
in the way she handled that stuff. And I loved Ronda's run. I wish she would have stayed more with jiu-jitsu or push arm bars on people. She started to really think she was a good
Boxer.
striker. Yeah.
You got to win well and you got to lose well too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one thing she said after she lost, but she's being honest, but it's scary. She was thinking about I could have ended my life. She was talking about
Yeah.
I thought that was really crazy because
Dark.
fighting is important, but it's not that important.
No, it's everything to her.
It's not
everything to
that
some
important.
people.
Yeah.
Are you only that? Are you only that?
That was a question I
Some
had to
people
ask
are.
myself.
Some people
Fighters
are.
need to, they need to be aware that there's more to life.
But
I mean,
I understand that, but when I retired, that was like a big deal for me. You know, like
Who am I?
I was like, I don't really know what else I want to do. You know, I was fortunate, like I believe the universe sometimes works for you, and it just kind of manifested itself. I was like, hey Joe, is there an audition process to doing the TV thing? And I was talking to Joe Silva. He sent me some names, and I reached out to them and did an audition, and now it's like, yeah, I found this immediate next purpose, but that also led me to these other things that I'm looking forward to completing in my life. But fighting takes so much of yourself, you know? You have to put so much into it. Sometimes you get that tunnel vision and the rest of the world really doesn't exist.
And then it's gone one day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that's
the
gone.
hardest
Like,
part.
oh,
It's like having a
where's my
girlfriend you
B
really
plan?
like, right?
Then she's gone. And you're like,
And that was the one that she's gone. Well, you know what,
Yeah.
man? You know what? There's more. You know, there's another chapter that you just gotta keep.
it
your
takes you a
mind
while
on.
to realize, oh, there are other
Yeah.
girls.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like they're really
Billions.
what? There's like a lot.
There's like 3.5 billion of them out there.
I don't even remember that girl's name now. That's really the way it is. Yeah, you get kind of tunnel vision on yourself.
I love how Dominic Cruz handled his career after he got hurt.
Yeah.
And he came
Oh
back.
my
You're like,
God.
what'd you learn? You know, and he's like, I learned I could be happy without being champion. I was like, that guy is very mentally strong.
Yeah.
That's a strong human being.
He had to be. I don't know if he always was, but I think definitely like knee injury after knee injury and knee injury. I was like, he definitely had to go through some dark times. There definitely was dark times in there because that's frustrating when like mentally you want to fight everyone. You probably have the fight knowledge and the fight IQ. Your body ain't gonna follow.
Yeah, there are these conversations I have sometimes with Robbie's one of my best friends. So we have some conversations sometimes, and man, he's deep. Like, it's crazy because like I have these two guys that are really good, Robbie and Joe Schilling. And between those two guys, they're completely different on the outside. If you sit down and talk to them for an hour, it's like you're the same guy because they're really focused. They're really they're not self-centered, but they're really aware of themselves, and they know how to be happy. They know how to find the lesson in anything, find the best in anything, and use it to make themselves stronger.
That's so important.
That's huge.
A fighter should learn that first.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the ups and downs in this business, if you don't have that, you're going to crumble.
Yeah. That's a hard thing, and it's one of those things where it's I think it starts with a lot of people that are fighters. I'm sure you have this in you too, and not when I say you too, I mean as a coach, right? Where you've been told all your life that you can do anything by the people that love you, but at the same time, the people that love you tell you don't do that, and you have to mitigate that, but you can't let that overwhelm you and pervade into the area of where you start to lose confidence. And when your confidence is gone, that's when you lose who you are. If everybody was confident, the world would be a better place, man.
It's hard, man.
It's hard. Yeah, I know it's
not
hard.
easy to just be confident.
It's definitely not an easy thing. You just have to find the reasons that you're confident. You know, you have to the things that you know, what you're confident in. You apply those same principles to everything else that you do, because it's all the same thing. It's just a different scenario. The formula always works. That's how I feel about it. I don't know. Am I crazy? What do you
No,
think?
you're
I'm
not crazy.
Confident.
It makes sense to me, but for me, like, where does that confidence come from? You know,
Yes.
'Cause you meet a young kid, he's maybe not skilled, he's maybe not, doesn't have a lot of opportunities, maybe his parents not rich, maybe they don't have a trust fund. He has nothing to really be confident about.
Mm-hmm.
How do you build that kid up? You know, and the way I like to do it, the way what I tell the youth is, there's nothing that's gonna come your way you can't handle. Do you believe that? You know, I tell them stories about guys who went down through hard times and came out alive, and it builds hope in them. It builds strength. So many guys started from nothing, literally nothing, and became kings. Literally,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, look at the life of Napoleon Bonaparte. When his mother was 6 months pregnant with him, they were conquered by the French, and he was literally a subject of the French king before he was born. Fast forward later in his life, he's literally the king of France.
Yeah.
You know, they had the French Revolution. He was a brilliant general. This is a guy in his teen years, he was going to commit suicide because his life was so bad. He went from so low to so high, and that's, you hear stories like that. It happens not necessarily at that level, But people go from up to down and down to up all the time.
Yeah.
So me,
Yeah.
I just wait out the storm. I always believe there's gonna be another, another cycle again. It's gonna rotate again, and I just never lose faith in that. And that's what gives me confidence. When there's a bad time, I know there's a good time around the corner coming.
That's
and
true.
It's gonna make everything
It is,
okay
yeah.
again.
Yeah, it really does. Like when you're in that dark time, you don't think anything good can happen. Then it good happens. Like, oh my god, like why was I even in that dark time?
You don't feel until you quit.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing to worry about is ever becoming soft.
Yeah.
Some people live too much luxury, too much comfort, and then what happens is they're always paranoid that comfort will be taken from them.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't live without that comfort. Like I was watching that movie. I love that movie. I think it was called what's one with Brad Pitt, and it's like the stock market crash and
The Wolf of Wall
Wolf of
Street.
Wall Street.
not that one. That one.
Oh, no.
It's,
Money. No.
Big Short, or what is it?
The Big Short.
Big Short.
I love The Big Short.
I love that movie. You know
I've
why?
seen that a few times. That's a good movie.
Brad Pitt plays the role of a guy who's like a Wall Street king, and he's retired now, and he's telling them, learn to live off the land, boys. Learn to live off the land.
He's good.
The guy who can live off the land, he doesn't care what the market is gonna do.
He's so humble too in the movie
Yeah,
too.
he's
He's
so
like
humble.
he's like on his computer at a coffee. He's at like a bar and like he's talking about like crazy big $1 million deals and stuff. And it's just like it's very. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
It's a good movie.
I gotta watch it. The Big Short.
The Big
But
Short.
he understood the secret. Because
Yeah.
the true secret is, me personally, I believe the true secret is never be dependent on anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
The second you're dependent on your wife, or you're dependent on this guy for money because he's your boss, or you're dependent on this guy to, whatever it is, once you're dependent, you always have an insecurity.
Yeah.
I like to be the type of person, look, if everybody left me, not that I would want that,
Right.
I'm still going to survive. Why? I have the skills. The skills are here.
Yep.
They're in here. Nobody can take that from me.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you kill me, I have the skill to
Yeah.
survive.
Yeah.
So that's why I never like to be dependent. I like to be interdependent. We both are here because we both want to be here. I don't like to be here because I have to be here, because if I'm not here, this guy's gonna cut me loose, and I have to be.
That's
This
the
type of
worst.
mentality, I call it psychological leaning.
Yeah.
I tell guys,
need some freedom.
I tell guys, look, especially in relationships, I'm training young fighters, like be careful, you're leaning psychologically on this person. It's a psychological type of leaning, and people who are leaned on don't find that attractive.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't help the situation. People don't understand that.
That's interesting. It's psychological.
That's
leaning.
why I tell fighters, why do you complain about your pay? Because we're not paid enough. Why did you sign the contract? Me, if somebody wants me to fight, I tell people, people tell me, why don't you want to fight? I say it's $100,000. Any promoter out there wants me to fight, it's $100,000.
Yeah.
If you have $100,000 and you want to see me fight, call me. I'll say yes. Less than $100,000, don't bother calling me. So people ask me, why don't you fight? Because I can't find anybody to pay me what I want to be paid. So I have other things to do.
So you would really fight for $100,000?
$100,000? I'll fight anybody.
Right.
You want to step outside right now? I got it. You know what I mean? Like, I
Hey,
can't
Pluto
live
TV,
my life.
transfer my cash over.
I can't live my life because I want to be part of something, and they don't want me to be part of it as much as
Right.
I want to be part of it. So it's just psychological leaning to me, and I find that's a dangerous thing. And that I think why people are so depressed, and it's the true reason why people are not paid what they're worth. Because if everybody said, hey, I'm worth more than this, if everybody had that kind of attitude, you have to pay more.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to.
You gotta fight for yourself.
Yeah. Nobody's got your back
Fight
like
for your
you
worth.
do. Yeah. That's. I like that. I just learned something.
If you're worth more, don't fight.
And now my inner promoter's coming out. I'm like, how do we get $100,000? Do we do a Kickstarter? Is that a
Raise some money.
a GoFundMe?
One night only. Firas Zahabi.
One fight.
Versus anyone.
I think every guy.
You can't pay the other guy.
Every
Only
guy in
$100,000.
UFC, or every guy at this level of fighting should make $100,000 at the end of the year.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, come on, the amount of energy and time. Even if you had
You
a
should
bad
make six
year,
figures. Yeah, it should be a six-figure year.
even if you had a bad year, the time and energy,
Should
you
be
know what it
$100,000.
is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You guys,
Yeah.
it's hell. It's cutting weight and all that. I mean, it's a lot, and the risk.
Yeah.
You didn't even make 100 G's that year.
You risk your body. You risk like your notoriety. Everything. You're risking.
And how did you
everything.
get to that
Your
level?
life.
How many hours of training did you do to get to that level?
Yeah.
It's not for that night. It's all the years of your
No.
life training, preparing to be an expert, and to be able to walk in there. It's a lot of years, and you're not even making $100,000. Damn, it's tough. It's tough, man.
It's more than tough. I think this is my personal belief, is that the pay scale needs to be rearranged, or the pay structure needs to be rearranged. I get early in the sport, show and win purses, but there's still so many guys fighting for win bonuses.
Yeah, you should have a salary too or something.
There's got to be a better way.
There should just
I
be
don't
like
know what it is. I'm no expert, but man,
there should just be like a small. It doesn't need to be a big salary. It just like depending on your contract, some sort of like weekly check you get. It's just like, oh, I work for the UFC. Like I'm like,
yeah,
I'm a brand ambassador for them because I fight for you guys. Like everyone changes their Instagram handle to blah 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 UFC. Like I'm working for you.
There's got to be a better way.
There's
got to be. There's just got to be.
Just got to figure it out. Somebody's got to find it.
UFC's got to hire me and Eve and let us fix that for them.
I can fix anything. I'm an ideas guy. I tell you, he'll tell you I'm an ideas guy. I got tons of ideas. This whole thing is my idea.
Was it? Great idea.
Partially, yeah.
Partially, yeah. It's the truth.
I smell a court case coming down the line, guys. Uh-oh. Get those LA lawyers in here.
Nah, we're good.
We wouldn't get to a court case.
Nah. We'll just duke it out.
Just like unfriend each other on
Instagram.
Yeah, that's my court case. Fuck that.
Unfollow, you're blocked.
Unfollow. Keep the fucking money. Keep the show. You can't even shoot it anyway. You don't have the gear or the technical know-how. So,
and you don't have the black guy that's fought in the UFC anymore.
That's exactly. That's what
he has. All of his friends are like popular black guys.
I have two of my best friends are like, I have DJ Paul from 3-6 Mafia is one of my best friends, and Ben Kenny from Incubus used to play for the Roots, another black guy. I'm like,
Jon Jones is one of
Jon
his best
Jones.
friends.
You're collecting.
I don't know. It's like that movie Get Out. I gotta be careful.
He's trying to figure out whose body he wants to put his brain into.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want Jon Jones, but like, that's right.
But then it's probably I almost said something that. So let's change that subject.
Rory MacDonald is fighting.
Yeah, man, Rory and Douglas.
We haven't even talked about it.
Yeah, we haven't. I want to talk
Yeah.
to Firas about Firas, and we just got so many gems and nuggets and
we're not journalists.
Diamonds. Yeah, we're not journalists. We're hanging out with our boy.
Yeah,
we're talking about. But now we're gonna journal on on the fight, man. Douglas is tough. This is a good fight. What do you? You can give it because this won't air until tonight. You're fighting tomorrow.
Yeah, no, we're not fighting a lot. It's happening very soon. Yeah. Listen, they're both dangerous fighters. They're both world class fighters. Maybe Douglas is not as well known in the MMA world as he should be.
Yeah.
But he's a brilliant fighter. Let's give it to him. Yeah, the guy's a brilliant guy. He's a great striker. He knows what he's doing in there. He has experience. He's done many 5-round fights, and it's gonna be a great fight. I really think Roy is a savage animal. And he's gonna take care of business. But Lima's a real test.
I know you see, of course, you see Rory winning the fight. That's a given. But how do you, what's the game plan?
Kill the other guy. Well, Lima's very good with that low kick. We got to take that off the table. He has a particular way of the way he blocks. I'm going to try to expose that. And if Rory gets on top of anybody, listen, he's got the most vicious ground and pound. I'm telling you, maybe Fedor in the golden day of Fedor, not anymore, right? But then it's Rory MacDonald's ground and pound.
I'm going to tell Fedor what you said.
I'm just kidding. He's savage on top, Rory.
Yeah.
He's so vicious, man. He's on top. He's just, you don't want to be there, man.
Yeah, I think that's the game plan. Don't ever let Rory get on top of you.
Don't let him get on top of you. And I think he does get on top. And, man, it's not a good place to be for anybody. So, he's got a lot of power in his body, that kid.
Yeah. So calm.
My
first time meeting him, yesterday and the day before I met him, and I was like, he's like, hey.
Nothing but a fight excites him anymore.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. Does anything get him excited? Do you ever go to
there's a fire in the building? Oh, I gotta get up and walk out.
Okay, grab my
It needs to be hand-to-hand combat.
Did you ever go to a comedy movie and he's hysterical laughing?
We can get him laughing. It's just nothing thrills him like hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
It has to be really little gloves.
Like video games or anything? Or?
I'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
His UFC contract was expiring, and he calls me up. He's like, "Coach, can you get me a fight in the Burmese boxing?" I'm like, "Rory, are you crazy? They pay $10. Like I've been in Thailand, I know what it is out there." And he's like, "Yeah, but if I don't do it now, between contracts, I'll never get to fight with headbutts." Because he didn't want to do Muay Thai because in Muay Thai you're not allowed headbutts.
Yeah.
And they have to wear gloves. And because in Burma,
in Burma
you can do bare knuckle without even the wrap. So he wants to do no wrap and headbutts allowed. I'm like, "Rory, do you understand? There's no medicals. The guy could have a disease. You headbutt him and you get his disease." It's like, "Yeah, I'll take the risk." I'm like, I'm like, Rory, you're crazy. I'm not booking you a fight in Burma. For God's sakes, man. Are you kidding me? He wanted us to fly down to Burma
That would've been
and
awesome.
fight some guy in the jungle, and he wanted to film it. And I'm like, that's how much this kid loves fighting. I'm like, dude, no, you're signing a professional contract, and you're going to do a professional bout, and get this idea out of your head because it's totally crazy.
That's
So,
a good
"You
idea,
sure?
though."
Come on, let's do one. I'm like,
Yeah, but not for one of the
He'll do it for
best
$10. He'll fight for
welterweight in the
$10.
world. Yeah,
He's
that's
crazy.
crazy. I remember sitting on the bus with Rory going to weigh-ins at one point, and we had a conversation the whole way. And you know, weigh-ins is not a big deal. You know, you're just making the weight or whatever. But the aura that he emanates is just like, there's nothing going on. And then the next day, when we were going to the arena to fight, he just had this slightly different aura about him. Whereas, like, you could just look at his eyes and see his mouth
Excited,
watering.
yeah.
It's like he's gonna get
He's a
to punch
predator.
someone.
Today
He's a
is
predator.
the day. Yeah.
He's kind of scary, man.
he's a scary guy. Yeah.
No, he really-
I know him well, so I'm not worried. But he
really
has
is.
a switch that goes off when he's fighting.
And that's another thing too. Like, I like Rory. Like, he had, like you said, he has a switch. Like, we had an interaction on Twitter that was like not pleasant, but it wasn't like real beef. It was just like, I don't think you should be saying that. And he was like, I disagree with you. And we went back and forth for a minute just talking about it. But it's like, that's what I like about him. It's like somebody that can take criticism, and it's like, in the end, I even disagree with you, but we're still the same.
Yeah.
You know, like that. That shows me a level of intelligence too. That's
he's
scary.
a smart guy. He's a smart guy for sure.
With that attitude, with that quiet attitude, and that level of
The
intelligence.
guy's been fighting professionally since he's 16. Think about that.
Yeah.
You know, think about it. He couldn't even drive yet, and he was prepping for a fight, a real fight against adults. I mean, he's
won.
I remember
and he
back.
won, and he won. Like,
I remember when I was like, it was either 2002 or 2003. I remember I had some, like, it might have been Full Contact Fighter magazine or something. I remember like seeing this like teenager tearing it up in Canada, and I was like, who is this dude? But he was like, even then, such a highly touted, like, everyone was like, this dude is the future. Like,
I asked his father and mom. I said, "How could you guys let him in the cage? He was 16." She's like, "There was no stopping him. Like, he was focused. Like, that's what he's doing with his life."
yeah.
And you know, we just let him go. There's nothing we can do to stop him. You know, the kid was so focused on it. He can't even drive yet. He's got to go to the, you know, he's got to get into a professional fight.
What a monster.
Yeah.
This the fight, we talked about it a bunch yesterday at the press conference. It became a big deal, I guess. But
Yeah, kind of.
he's
You got in a little trouble on Twitter. Or
I ain't
something.
getting
Not
in
in trouble, but people bringing it up. Yeah.
I'm gonna
I'm
ask
not
every
in
time.
trouble.
But anyway, how do I know Rory ultimately doesn't care. It doesn't matter, but he doesn't care. But how do you feel about that? Them not being the main event. The level of that fight.
He did get in trouble for that.
Yeah, it's Coca got. He got like, I'm not talking about that anymore. We already answered that question. No, you didn't answer the question because I'm still asking it.
I sent you that article someone wrote on it, right? Last night, you see
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Someone wrote a little article about it last night. I'm
You
like,
know, I know Douglas said it didn't matter, and Rory was a little bit. I think it matters.
It matters.
It matters.
Matters.
It does matter. They're taking away some of the prestige
Yeah.
of their own title.
Yeah,
it's something about being the
You're
end of
telling
the,
the
the last fight of the night. You're not like
that's what everyone's here
TV's
for.
not trying to push you off to get someone else.
Yeah.
You win your title. It's
It matters.
this is it. Yeah.
There's a seniority here. There's a.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a.
Missed out on the experience of just having that.
The title fight always goes last.
Right.
Why? It's the best. You save the best for last. That's what the fans.
Because it's
came to
a
see,
world
the title
championship. It's not the quarterfinal matchup
fight.
Of a
of a tournament.
Exactly. Why did they do that?
Both guys aren't even coming off of wins.
And then
It's
when they say, well, we have two main events. It's not a co-main event. We have two main events. Then if you have two main events, then why isn't the title fight last? If they're equal,
Yeah.
right? If they're equal, and this thing is a prestigious thing. This is what everybody in this sport is after. Everybody in your organization is after is this belt, and this weight class is fighting for it. When these other guys aren't, why is that not?
They're basically telling the world, look, this fight, this quarterfinal fight, is more important than our title.
Yep.
Right.
What does that say about their title?
Yeah.
UFC would never do such a thing.
No.
But yesterday after the press conference, Scott, he came out and we were talking for a minute. He's like, and Eve, remember the UFC did it too. The UFC did it
When?
too. I don't remember which card they did, but they did have a non-title fight as the main event above a title fight. There was one time, but even
Was
so,
that Conor Nate?
I can't remember that.
Maybe it was.
Maybe that would make
maybe.
sense. That would
Connor
be
and
the one
Nate had a
exception.
co-main event of a title fight.
Okay, so
That could be an exception.
Yeah.
but even so, right?
It's a champion. We're going up a weight. It's not. The guy is a champion.
They're
too.
breaking pay-per-view records too at
Yeah.
that fight, you know. So,
but
'cause the rematch was not a title fight.
the rematch was not a title fight, but there were no title fights on that card.
both
Yeah,
fights were not
not
title
titles,
fights.
Right. But to say the UFC did it, so that means it's okay. That's not.
No, it doesn't make
And they
sense.
did it
Doesn't
like
make
fans got excited. Like, yeah, that is the main event. Like
Right.
that's the bigger fight. Like fans of Bellator are like, no, the bigger fight is Lima McDonald. That
Yeah.
for sure is the bigger fight.
Yeah,
it's going to be one of the biggest welterweight fights of the year. I think there's going to be a slow year for the welterweight division with titles and stuff.
In
So
the long run, I mean, Rory and Lima have more fights ahead of them, in my opinion, than maybe Quinton and Chael.
Absolutely.
So why not build these young kids right now? Because
Yep.
one of them is going to be champion, and you're going to have to put them in the spotlight, the main event, and his fan base is going to grow, and he's going to do more and more fights for you.
yeah.
You know, the other guys are maybe going to be, retiring shortly or not fighting as often or whatever because they have so many more fights. You know, they have a lot of miles on them. Why are you putting these guys in the center? Because they can't carry you as far as these young kids.
Right.
You know,
No.
so
In 2020, Rory and Douglas will still be there. We
Well,
don't know if Chael
exactly.
and Rampage will be.
I think Rampage might still just because he gets pretty big pay for his fights. He don't
And you gotta
he don't
buy
really
more
get he don't
ketchup.
really get hurt very much in the fights. He don't fight. He never takes a lot of damage.
well, he's been hurt in his career too. I mean, he's had some wars.
Yeah. Well,
He's
I mean,
had some wars.
well, the Vandalay wars back in Pride
Yeah,
and
no, he's had
stuff.
wars.
But the recent
Shogun.
Quentin fight's a little more tentative. He's a little straighter of a boxer. Doesn't really push his wrestling too much. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird to have this, especially like there's just so many like big conglomerates that have a say in Bellator. There's Viacom, there's Paramount. It's just like, who's actually in charge here? Who it's they're doing some really good stuff, but then you do this, and it just leaves a little sour taste.
Do you promote any fights ever?
I started amateur league a while back. I gave that to one of my students to run, and we did a few pro shows because there was no more pro shows, and we had all these pros that are up and coming and needed to
Need
fight.
fights, yeah.
So we did a handful of shows, but after that, it was really difficult. I don't have time for that
It's hard.
really. So I just kind of started a group to do it, and we worked together a little bit, and we did it to help out the pros and get them fights. And then now, luckily, there's some new promotions. There's Fight Pass. Fight Pass started picking up a lot of new promotions, and we have the TKO promotion and all that. I only do now because they made Jiu-Jitsu illegal in Montreal. Jiu-Jitsu
Yep.
competition, which is crazy.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I did not know
well,
that.
actually, all of Quebec. It's illegal now to have a
crazy.
jiu-jitsu competition, and we used to have them all the time.
You can have a
You can have
jiu-jitsu
jiu-jitsu
school,
school.
but no.
And we have a jiu-jitsu school. You can roll, you can teach, you can do a private lesson, but you cannot have a jiu-jitsu tournament. And that's just basically killing the jiu-jitsu market. And
Yeah.
Montreal is a great place for jiu-jitsu. We have
Yeah.
a lot of jiu-jitsu in Montreal. Quebec, we have a lot of great jiu-jitsu talent. And we just had two guys from my club go to Abu Dhabi, actually. One also won a world title. The other one got a silver in IBJJF, the Nogi Championships. And we've got a lot of jiu-jitsu talent. Not a lot of jiu-jitsu competitions. So what I said, I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'm just going to put them on my YouTube channel. So I got a few sponsors, cryptocurrency sponsors. So you guys would roll $300 for the winner. You got to get a sub, no time limit. And I put it on my YouTube channel, and we call it Pure BJJ. Pure. Because it's pure. Like, there's no time limit. There's just two guys going at it. And there has to be a sub. The winner gets $300 cryptocurrency. I narrated on the
winner gets cryptocurrency. Wow.
yeah, $100 of Bitcoin Cash, $100 Dash, and $100 of Neem. And you guys love it, So we do a show.
Blockchain.
Every week. Yeah, they can't stop us because we're not doing it. We're not doing a tournament. It's just
a match.
It's just one roll, and I narrate it, and I give the guy who gets a sub $300.
How often do you do that?
I try to do it weekly.
Really?
Yeah, weekly.
I would love to see that. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Man, I'm coming
It's on
up to
YouTube.
I'm
YouTube.
coming
That
up
is
to
cool.
Montreal and gonna
That's a
do
little-
some
that's-
jiu-jitsu
yeah,
Put him in a
smokers.
cage.
That's
too.
teched out. We should go up there and make some Bitcoin.
Bitcoin,
Yeah.
George bought me a 30-foot cage. I lock him in the cage.
Yeah.
Go in there, roll. One winner. I don't care how long the match takes.
Did George? Did he give you one of his belts?
Yeah, he did.
He did, right?
After the Condit fight.
Yeah.
He gave me one of the titles.
That's cool.
That's super dope. How many of them does he have? 7?
It's funny. We're just trying to count them. We lost track because the
Did
thing
you
is,
lose any of them?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
That's
Because
cool.
he gives them away. So we're trying to wonder. Like me and his manager were just talking about it this week. We're like, who has them? Who has
Yeah, I know he
them?
gave one to his with the wrestling coach, right?
His wrestling coach was the last one. I got one. Christophe Midou got one. His mother got one.
That's crazy.
Who
Just
else got one?
You get one. You get a big belt.
He's like,
you
Oprah.
get a
He doesn't keep them.
Like as soon as he got the belt after beating Bisping, like 2 days later, there's a post like
Done.
he's just like,
Dude,
there you go.
After he won it for Condit, and that's after his ACL injury.
Mm-hmm.
He was out for a year, and the Condit fight was like he could barely make it on the schedule of like, because they told him when he could start doing jiu-jitsu and all. It was so tight, and they wanted the Condit fight to happen, at this date, and it was so tight. It was so grueling to come back. It was ridiculous, and he literally just won the belt. They put it on his shoulder. He came up to me, he took it off his shoulder. He just got it, put it on my shoulder. This one's yours. I'm like, wow, man, thank you. I just saw this guy suffer for a year,
That's
and not even 60 seconds it was on his shoulder. It's all yours, man.
Yeah.
I was amazed. I was really amazed.
That was a good fight.
Amazing
Yeah,
fight.
it was.
George got hit with that head kick.
Oh god.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
It happens. It's fighting.
Yeah, man.
It's fighting.
How? Okay, so you say sometimes George will say after the fight, you said he didn't realize that he was fighting Bisping for the middleweight title. He was a middleweight champion.
He was just,
He's in shock and
It was
the moment.
It was surreal.
Yeah.
And I was looking at him in the octagon. I was telling myself, man, that's the last time I might see him in here wearing that strap. And we grew up like that together. With him being champion and me being his coach and us going to the octagon.
What does that feel like? Being in the locker room, because you know what it's like back there, and then knowing this may be the last walkout with a guy like that. What's that feel like?
I was really focused on the fight. It was when the fight was over, it hit me hard. And it hit him hard. That's why I knew exactly what he was thinking. Because he's like that too. He's so tunnel vision that we don't care about the historical moment, right? We got to win this fight, And then when he won the fight, it hit him and it hit me hard too, really hard. Because this could be the last time we do this. And I was looking at him, man. I was looking at him, I thought I was in a dream. I really thought I was in a dream. That's when he was telling me, like, what happened? I'm like, he just choked out Bisping, the middleweight world champion. Congratulations. Like, I'm the what? He's like, no way. I'm like, yeah, man, really. He's like, he was smiling and happy. He was just like, is this a dream? He asked me.
He's like, where's my belt?
He asked me like 4 or 5 times. Honestly,
Like,
he
you
asked
gave it to me.
Is this a dream? Am I dreaming? Tell me the truth. Am I dreaming? I'm like, George,
Real.
congratulations, man. You're the middleweight champion of the world.
Crazy. That's an impressive fight.
He's like, no way.
Was the Conor McGregor fight ever really on the table with him?
I want him to fight Conor McGregor. Am I crazy? If people are telling me like, yeah, it's great, and some people are telling me, no, that's crazy. It'll never happen.
Awesome.
You said you do or you do?
I want the fight.
Right?
Yeah, of course I want the
absolutely.
It's a
fight.
good fight.
Yeah.
George will never ask for it because he finds it disrespectful to ask a lower weight, and I agree with him.
Right.
Okay, I agree with him. I don't find that bigger weight should go and attack a little weight, lighter weight.
It's like bullying.
Well-
Yeah, it's bullying. It's not classy. Okay, the smaller guy, if he wants to take the challenge, let him do it. Now, people ask me, do I want to see that fight? Of course, I want to see that fight. That'll be the
Yeah.
biggest fight in the history of
Oh
UFC.
my
bar none.
god.
Yeah.
That's
Will it ever happen? I don't know.
Right.
Is Conor worthy of it? Yes, I would say yes. Of course, no doubt about it. He's a killer. And it's not about picking or whatever. It's just, is it a great fight? Of course it is.
Make the fight.
No doubt. No doubt it's a great
Make
fight.
the fight.
Yeah, that should happen. I mean, everybody on the planet that has any interest in fights will watch that fight.
There's nobody in the world, I don't care who criticizes that matchup. If the fight was signed and it's happening, they're all watching.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, look at McGregor and Mayweather.
Yeah.
It's
It's hard to make bigger fights. There's only a handful of, like, I was trying to write down what would be like super fights. There's not that many. You can write down like 4 or 5.
It's a little cold right now.
Yeah.
But it's normal, right? I mean, every market's going to go hot and cold a little. But you're right. It's a little bit...
There's like a few crazy matchups where you think of like DC to heavyweight or DJ TJ. It's like, I don't even know if these are super fights. They're not going to sell.
Is it a mega fight?
No, it's not.
No.
We need
It's not.
1 or 2 a year. We need
No.
1 or 2 a year.
But the thing
You gotta have
about mega fights, and this is 2 things I want to ask you. I want to make a statement, then ask you a
Oh, they
question.
all include Conor.
Mega fights. I believe you have to do what George or what Anderson or what DJ has done to basically clean out a division. They've dominated for a long time. And when the division still has competition in it for you, then I don't believe that's a mega fight, right?
Yeah.
Now, there's been all these things coming up lately. When Bisping had the title before he fought GSP, him and Tyron, they were trying to talk about a fight there, making a super fight. I don't believe in super fights again, like I said, unless you clean out a division. What do you think of the welterweight division now in the UFC?
I think, Tyrone's a great fighter. Definitely a great fighter. But he hasn't had those performances yet that stole the heart of the fans.
Mm-hmm.
They're more criticizing him now. And maybe he had bad chemistry with Wonder Boy. Maybe it was just bad chemistry. The Damian Maia fight, okay, he played it safe. He played it intelligent. But the chemistry of the entertainment value was not necessarily there.
Yeah.
And if he wants the mad props, he can't just win. He has to be dominant.
Yeah, because that's 25 minutes after 25 minutes.
There has to be something like, wow, the best guy in the world got crushed by you.
Yep.
Not you tweaked out a win. And that's the thing is that people are gonna give you what you deserve. The market always is honest. It's always honest with you. If the fans are not, if you didn't steal their hearts, there's a reason. And that's why I like always put the blame on me, the responsibility on me or the fighter, on us. I don't like to blame the fans and tell the fans. I don't like to do that because they're fans. They're watching you fight. They've seen other fighters. They're comparing you to all the other fighters that came before you. You know, they're not dumb. They know what entertains them. You don't have to tell them what's entertaining. They know. So, George was very loved. BJ Penn was very loved. Matt Hughes was very loved. These are great welterweights. Why? Because they fought a particular way. They were dominant a particular way. And maybe he hits that strike. Right. Maybe he cleans out the next 4 or 5 guys and blows them out of the water. It can happen.
Yep.
It just hasn't happened for him yet. And he's got to live with what happened. He's got to live with it. He's got to make the best of it.
Yeah, he's had 3, I wouldn't say, like, some people say boring fights, but it's been a long time since we've seen a tyrant finish. Was it Robbie?
Robbie.
And that was like such a short fight.
That was a great way to win the title.
Right,
yeah.
If he did that 2 or 3 more times, he would have been a star. Like he's a star already, but he would have been more. He would have been more appreciated.
Yeah.
Like I appreciate him. We appreciate him.
Yeah.
You see, it's so difficult what he does.
I like that Damian Maia fight. I really did.
I liked it too. I loved it.
Yeah.
But I know the general fans might not fall in love.
Yeah, you don't want to watch the Super Bowl and have the Patriots just run for 4 yards every possession, every play, and win because their defense can stop the other team.
But sometimes that's fighting, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's just the way it is. It's the chemistry.
Yeah.
So that's why I think hopefully he gets matchups that show more of the exciting things he can do because he's an exciting guy. He's a great athlete. He's a killer, right? But we got to give him. He's got to have the right matchups to make him famous and popular and more loved, more like that GSP level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll get there.
Yeah, he definitely has the potential. And the division itself, I mean, when you look at it, my opinion, there's RDA, maybe Covington because their styles clash in the wrestling department, but I believe Tyron is the more explosive athlete, faster, better boxer. But then RDA is the one guy, and then Colby, and then it kind of falls off. This Wonder Boy is still going to be around.
For now, it's fallen off. But
right.
They used to say that about George all the time. Oh, who else is there? Who else? I used to tell George, don't worry about that. They'll find another guy.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll find another guy. Don't worry. There's always another guy who's going to have a great knockout or a great this or a great sub, and they're going to say, this guy, maybe he can do it. And somebody in the welterweight division is a performance or two away from being the next guy.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about that. RDA is the next guy right now, or Kobe's the next guy right now. And as they're going through that process, fighting Woodley, there's going to be another guy who's going to have a great night.
Yep.
Or 2 great nights in a row. So, I find that it's a common misunderstanding people have that, if he beats these 2 guys, there's nobody else. Don't worry, that's cooking. That's coming down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And you beat those 2 guys, or you fight those 2 guys, and you give these other guys the time to build that anticipation. But you also have to do what you said. You have to have those performances that excite the fans to make them want to see this next challenge. Okay, well, he passed that challenge. Let's see how he does with this challenge. He passed that challenge. Let's see how he does with this. So George had those. He had the BJ. He lost to BJ. He came back, dominated. He had the Carlos.
He actually beat BJ the first time.
Yeah, he didn't lose.
It was
that's
a close
right.
fight.
That's right. I'm sorry. That's right. They were all.
I thought BJ won that fight, but it was incredibly close.
That's right.
Close fight.
Very close.
Then he lost to Matt, and then he came back and took Matt out. But
George was fighting stars too.
Exactly. Every single person that he fought, but because he was so dominant, right? It was like, who's going to stop his wrestling? Then he fought Johnny. Great fight. He was able to take down a national champion multiple times. He was able to get off of his back when a national champion took him down. He was able to survive the big punches of a guy like Johnny Hendricks, I really wish that I would have got to see him and Robbie. That's just a personal thing. I've been a George fan for a long time. On the USA versus Canada card, we had a really good talk back then, and I really like George, and like I said, Robbie's one of my best friends, man. That's a fight I would just love to see as a fight fan, But the welterweight division right now, I agree with what you say. If he has those performances, then it changes.
Yeah.
But we look at the sport right now, that's where it is. There's really nobody standing out like that. John's gone. Connor's on the shelf. Tony Ferguson, he's fun to watch. The lightweight division is strong. That's fun to watch. Max Holloway is fun to watch. DJ doesn't get the credit, I believe.
He doesn't get the respect he deserves.
I completely believe
He's really trying. He's trying new moves. He's like...
You know what it is? I'll be honest with you. In North America, they love big fighters.
Yes.
Yeah.
In Japan, Demetrius Johnson, if he did those performances in Japan,
Huge.
he would be a Michael Jordan there.
Yeah.
Why? Because they don't care. They don't see size. Yes, they're fascinated with the big, giant fights and little, giant human beings. But they also love the small fighters, the shorter fighters. If you fight with heart in Japan, they love you. And they would love Demetrius Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, he would be literally like a Michael Jordan level figure there.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, why do you think here they don't love the fighters? I have my opinion. I'll tell you if you care to hear it. But why do you think that?
Of course I can't hear it. I think they look down on smaller people. I think there's an arrogance issue, you know, because Westerners are usually bigger than other foreign races. You know, I think there's an ego thing there. I think that they look down on the smaller fighter.
The below average size.
Yeah, they say, oh, they look like kids, you know, and it's not the case. It's not. It's
right.
Furthest thing from the truth. However, I think that's the issue. I think there's a prejudice there.
I believe that, and I think it also add to that prejudice of being bigger. They believe that because I'm bigger, I don't care what he does because I just destroy that guy.
Exactly. If he hit me, it's a little punch. You know?
Yeah.
They want to be odd. Well, that guy would have knocked my head off if he hit me. They're more in awe of the skill, but the skill is just as dangerous.
And the ignorance in to think that just because you're 180 pounds, DJ, it's like Barry Bonds trying to compete against. Not Barry Bonds. I'm sorry. Tiger Woods trying to compete against Barry Bonds in a home run hitting contest. Just because he can hit a ball very well doesn't mean that he can beat Barry Bonds. Same thing here. Just because you're bigger, right? But he's fighting all day, every day. He's working on these techniques. He's not going to go into Microsoft and because he can use a computer and blow Bill Gates out of the water. You know what I mean? I think that arrogance and that size, I think those things come together, and I don't know how to change that, but a guy like DJ deserves so much more credit for what he's doing and what he's done. I think he deserves $1 million. $1 million payday.
Nah.
Why, he's too little?
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
Man, he does. Believe me.
That's like stirring the pot.
He does.
Yeah, no, he deserves to be well paid and taken care of. He's got the record for most title defenses. He's
about to tie Anderson.
No, he just did.
No, because the fight was in because he didn't make weight, so it was.
Borg didn't make weight, right?
Yeah. So Firas, what is your martial arts background, man? How'd you start, and what is?
I saw the UFC, the second UFC. I saw Royce Gracie. I was bullied as a kid, right? So when I saw when I saw the commercial, they said UFC 1 champion Royce Gracie, and they were hoisting him up on their shoulders. I'm like, that little guy won? That little guy? So I was so shocked. I was like, wait, is martial arts true? Are you telling me that martial arts is not fake? I was like, I thought it was fake. So I saw the highlight video, like the commercial for it.
Yep.
And I taped it, and I was watching it over and over again because I wanted to see the little highlights of how the sumo guy hit that guy or whatever.
It's awesome.
I was so in awe, and I had to watch it. So I ended up watching it. I showed it to my brothers. My brothers got it. We watched it pay-per-view, and I was so mesmerized. I was buying the magazines because they had like fight magazines and articles about what happened in UFC 2, and I was like all over it. And I was probably like, 16 at the time, but there was no jiu-jitsu in Montreal. At the age of 19, 20, I found a jiu-jitsu instructor purple belt, and I started training ever since. Like, it stayed with me for 3 years, that bug. I wanted to learn jiu-jitsu. I wanted to learn martial arts. I want. And when I found the jiu-jitsu guy, I stuck with it.
Yeah, it is.
And man, I just never stop. I train every single day. I'm on the mats every single day. So it was really Royce. Really, honestly, just seeing Royce being able to kick, to win. And I'm telling you, when we watched UFC 2, we thought Royce was gonna lose. We thought Royce. Okay, he won the first one.
Yeah.
There's no way he's beating this guy. They were putting out these monsters to come fight him, and he beat them. We're like, oh man, he can't win part 3. Part 3, they brought him these other monsters. He's gonna get stopped. And then part 3 was, he bowed out
Steve
after
Jenham.
Chemo.
Steve Jenham.
Yeah, Chemo. Remember he fought Chemo?
Yep.
I'm like, this guy's gonna kill him. Not the guy with the ponytail. Oh no,
The guy brought a cross.
Oh my God, Royce is dead. I kept doubting him, and he kept winning. And at one point, I was like, "Hey, I have to learn jiu-jitsu." After the Dan Severn one, that's it, man. You know, it was really inspiring. Hoist inspired, the next generation.
Wasn't that crazy when Hoist bowed out of the tournament? Chemo came out and he's like, "Yeah, that's me." That was awesome.
I still have nightmares about Chemo.
Really?
He's like the bad guy.
They're like, we have a Chicago police officer named Steve Jenham that's gonna come and fight. It's like, okay.
Steve Jenham.
Gotta reach out to that guy.
I trained in that. That was my first martial arts system. In mixed martial arts. Not with Steve Jenham, but he was on the Robert Bussey Warrior International. Remember that?
That I don't remember.
RBWI was his. If you go
you
back
got some Steve Jenham lineage?
Yeah, I went back home to the Bahamas, and my best friend, his brother was going to his ninja school. It's like, where you going? He's like, why you dressed like that? He was wearing these like MC Hammer pants and the shirt.
Like Keith Hackney?
Yeah. It's like, where you going? He's like, ninjas. He's going to my ninjas class. I was like, ninjas? There ain't no ninjas in the Bahamas.
You're one step below Frank Dukes.
Yeah.
You train with Steve Jenham.
You train with Steve Jenham.
Frank Dukes.
Frank Dukes.
I'm going to train with Frank Dukes.
Keith Hackney.
He's still alive, Frank Dukes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going
to get him here on this podcast.
Yeah.
Where
we do.
Where is he?
He is, I think it's in Seattle or something.
We're going to go up to Seattle.
Tell us the story about the Kumite. Some people say it never happened.
I actually reached out to Timac last night. I'm trying to get Last Dragon.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
he's actually in New York, right?
Yeah.
I know guys who know him.
I want to get him on. I think those guys are great to chat with.
You got to get Frank Dukes, guys. Frank Dukes, get the story.
So you started with jiu-jitsu, and then where did you start with your striking? Or when did you start your striking?
I'd won a few amateur titles in like full contact jiu-jitsu where it was like pancrase.
Okay.
Again, MMA was illegal, so we do like
Open
open hand tournaments and stuff. So I needed more
fun.
striking, so I started doing Muay Thai, and of course I went to Thailand. I started living in Thailand and training there, and really and then I won a few Canadian titles at amateur Muay Thai, and I was going to school at the same time. I got a degree in philosophy, and at the same time I was training a lot of guys at TriStar. I was a really busy guy. I would do martial arts school. And I trained David Loiseau. He went to UFC.
Yep.
That brought George to my door. George was like, "Hey, I want to be a fighter too. I want to make it as far as I can." He was having his first professional fight before.
That guy has big dreams.
And I was like,
Who was that?
No, GSP.
George.
He wants to be a fighter. I'm going to take it as far as I can. I'm going to take it as far as I can. How far are you going to go, kid?
Hey,
you know what, man? I had no idea. Like, the sport was so small. The guys weren't making any money. We're just doing it for fun. Started training together, one fight, and then all of a sudden the fights are huge. And I was a full-time trainer all of a sudden.
Is TriStar your gym or?
Yeah, I bought it in 2007.
You fully own it or are you partnered?
Full owner.
Oh, nice.
2007.
How long has TriStar been open for? Prior to your ownership?
I think it opened in '96.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been open a long time, but I only took it in 2007.
Wow.
And when did you have your fights?
I fought from the age of 21 to like 25. Like I didn't fight too long because I was just doing it for fun, right? There was no money involved.
Right.
I was a
late 90s,
I was a 145er, and there was no 145 division back then.
Yep, I remember that.
And guys were fighting for literally like $200. And I was like, I'm going to
How much did you make in your first fight?
I was fighting amateur.
Okay.
I just did it for fun, but these guys were fighting with little gloves for $300, and I was like, that's crazy.
I made $160 my first fight.
Whoa.
I made
big bucks.
Like 70 or 80. Yeah.
And I did the math, and I was like, I did the math wrong because I did it based on the amount of time the fight lasted. Because I was like, this means I made like $60 an hour.
Ooh.
Ooh. That was good. Yeah, I screwed up with it. They gave us like tickets to sell, and I just kind of gave a whole bunch to my friends, and then
$60 a minute.
And then they just like docked it for my pay, and then I got like a check for like $60, and I was like, "It's cool." My friends drove to Boston. It's cool.
I did the math. I was like, if you win 3 fights a year, you're making like $3,000. Not even, I was like, it's not a career.
Yeah.
I was bad at math. I thought I was getting rich. I was getting like $1,000 a fight. I'm like, this is a lot of fucking money. I was like,
That's a painful hobby too.
Oh, this is a ton of money. This whole $1,000 thing. like, this is a lot.
Oh man.
My parents like, you don't have bills, no nothing. It seems like a lot, but you live in my basement. I'm like, straight.
In TriStar, you said you love teaching. You teach the basics all the way up to the pros. How many Give us some names that we can come back, watch this tape in 2 or 3 years, and be like, man, that's who Firas said it was. Who are we gonna see coming out?
I'll tell you why I hate doing that. Because when I say name, and I've done it in the past and I regret it, other students get, oh, he didn't say me. You know,
Okay.
He didn't think I could
Work harder, dude.
And then,
Give me some. Give me some. That was awesome. Work hard.
you know,
Trade hard.
He didn't say me. I'm like, huh?
that's why ever since then I always say all of them.
Yeah.
And
Political.
I just
It's
you know,
No,
first
it's probably
confidence.
the
I
right
get
thing.
that.
No,
It's
it's-
definitely.
you know how it is.
Because
I
guys
get
are-
that.
You can't make everybody happy.
No one's gonna
and-
watch this though.
I get that.
And
This is for me.
Shh, get out of here. We're gonna have at least 100,000 people seeing this. So,
It could be in that range.
like, we're gonna have 100,000. So go get all your friends and bring them here so we
We
can
kill. That's
triple
why I
that.
said no one's watching this. So just say it. No one's gonna watch. This is for me and Eve. We're just gonna.
See that was I was the kids whose name you didn't mention just now when he said no one's gonna watch this. I'm like, what are you talking about?
People gonna watch.
Who's gonna watch because we're on
See that?
this? Like,
See the pot you stirred?
Yeah,
Work
look
harder.
at that. Work harder. What do you expect? But no, okay. So I completely get that. I completely understand you not doing that, and the reason for that. That makes 100% sense. So you have a bunch of guys up there now. I mean, you got McDessie. You've got like George is still in the gym. I'm sure. How? That's the question. How is George with helping these younger guys? Because like you. McDessie's a middle guy, but let's talk about as far as age and experience. But like a guy like Masard Betik and guys that just come into the gym
He's so
and
good
these
with
young kids.
George is the best with that. Honestly, I'm amazed how much time he takes out of his own time to help them. Like he actually teaches every Monday at TriStar. Like he tells
Wow.
me, Coach, you want me to teach for you? I'm like, sure. That'll be great. You know, that you can take the day off. I'm not gonna take the day off. I'm gonna come in and help you out, but that'll be great. I think the guys would love it. And he goes around and he helps them and he checks their technique and he answers their questions and he did that during his Bisbee camp too.
He's a real martial artist.
And I told him, George, I know you got to focus on what you're doing. And he's like, no, I still want to do it. And I was really, really impressed with him. George is the type of guy, when he's in the practice room, he's not one of those guys, some fighters tell me, you have to be selfish. I don't agree necessarily. I don't agree.
Yeah,
I really believe in the synergy, me.
Yeah.
We help each other and together we make it.
Together we get there.
But it's not one guy, because once you do that, every man for himself.
Yeah.
It's not the same amount it's not the same amount of success you find. Groups that are, it's just about me and you're about you and you take care of your business, I take care of my business. That kind of attitude, man, doesn't go as far.
Yeah, there's a ceiling on that.
He's
for
a
sure.
good leader,
There is.
George. He's a
There
good
is.
leader. He's a good leader, man. We work together. I help you win your fight. You help me win my fight. I'll tell you what happens. You came in for my sparrings when I was fighting. I'm going to come in for your sparring. Even though I just finished my fight. You need 2 rounds?
Yeah.
I'll be there on Tuesday. I'll give you your 2 rounds. I'm not going to do 5 rounds. I'll do 2. But I gave you the rounds you need. When I'm fighting, you come give me the rounds I need. And it creates that synergy in the group,
Yeah.
you know? Oh, you need me to do situation with you? Okay, the guy you're fighting has a good guard, kind of like me. I'll come in. I'll do a few rounds with you. Just play, do guard for you. I'll help you prep for your fight. And that kind of attitude, George, he breeds that in the gym. It's so important
Like that.
for the atmosphere and the chemistry. And then you see guys come in, helping each other out,
And I believe that also makes your technique better in the fact that when you're helping these younger guys, especially when they understand so much of the game, but then you have to tune in on little details, your game gets better because you can't explain something to someone. You can't teach somebody something unless you know it. It's like explaining something to a 5-year-old.
You learn it yourself. And it's also you developing the guy. He's a better partner for you now.
Yeah.
Last year, he wasn't so. Now you train with him, you get a great workout. The guy's he's pushing you, and you got to keep evolving. It's very important that But sometimes I go to other gyms, and I feel threatened almost. I feel threatened.
Yeah.
Like the guy rolling with me, he wants to kill me.
Wants to rip your arm off.
And he's worried that I score on him, and then somebody's like, I don't want to roll with that guy.
Yeah.
That guy's too on edge, man. Chill,
Yeah.
relax.
The
Let's
gym
roll.
war.
There's no world title in here.
When I go in the gym, I never tap a guy.
There's no Bitcoin on.
If I don't know the guy, I won't tap. If we're not friends, I'll just maybe pass and let you go, or I'll let you sweep and I'll recover. But I'm very aware of that because I've been around a long time. And when I walk in the gym, people they recognize who I am right away. They're like they're on edge. I'm like, guys, chill. I'm not here to threaten you. Like it's cool. We're gonna have fun. And when we get to know each other, and you're cool, and I'm cool, and we can roll for real, But it's just too much.
Yeah, and they really don't want to get tapped and stuff.
Especially in their home gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get it. So I won't do it. you know. And then when they feel it's cool, they relax.
Then you do it.
No.
No.
If I'm rolling one-on-one, I'll do it. If we're rolling just me and you, it happens,
Yeah,
right? During the
yeah.
day, it's not what. But if I'm in front of a guy's students, I'll never touch him.
Yeah.
I'll never tap him. I'll never sweep.
That's a good move.
Because I respect his school and, you know, his academy and his image.
Yep.
And it's important.
There's definitely a lot of psychological stuff behind that. Oh, so a question. So we have Bellator. How do you feel about this heavyweight tournament? Who do you think? Who's your favorite?
I love it, man. I think
Right,
it's crazy.
it's pretty
I think
great.
It's great.
It's crazy.
I love it.
I think it's crazy.
I love it. Listen, I'm a huge Fedor fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love it if he won and he was back on top. I
Oh.
would think it was like, I don't know if he can pull that out. I don't think he can. He's changed. It's not the same Fedor, man.
It's a Shark Tank too. There's
It
a lot
is.
of there's a lot of
It's
tough
heavyweight.
there's a lot of tough matches. There is there are routes that he can get to that title. There's I think there's certain guys he could beat a Frank Mir or Big Country. I think there's certain styles that he could do okay against, but who knows?
Could you imagine if he won and became world champion again? That would be great.
Retire.
That would be unbelievable.
Retire.
No, he won't retire, this guy.
He'll
He's
never
got that
retire.
bug. I'm telling you, he's
He'll
got that bug.
never
The guy who
retire,
fights
man.
too often, too long, he's got that bug. That's the one thing I want to make sure
He
George
stayed
never
around
has.
too long, and then
Yeah.
he was at that peak, and he was not getting any fights.
See, I love Fedor. I think Fedor is the greatest of all time, especially heavyweight.
Yep.
But we're talking about a heavyweight tournament, and I've never been a big fan of the heavyweights. I mean, I love some heavyweight fights. I love the heavyweight fight this weekend in the UFC. But because we were talking about heavyweights, I was just playing with the green screen. Put the cap on my...
That's what you were doing.
That's what I was doing, I was playing with the green screen. Because my water is it's just staying in there. Why is it staying in there?
Because there's no cap.
Because there's no cap, and the water's staying in there. So that's how I feel about the heavyweight tournament.
Damn.
Ouch.
Shots fired, man.
I fire shots all day.
You got.
Shots.
I think Matt Mitrione could see himself winning the whole thing. Definitely.
I'm sure he could see himself winning it. I don't know if I can.
He's probably the best athlete.
Yeah, he's definitely the best athlete.
Well, he already beat Fedor, so
Yeah.
he looks all right. He hits hard.
What's the bracket?
I don't know.
It's
Oh,
not.
they
They only established the
matches,
quarters.
the first-
Yeah. They should really just establish the bracket.
They really should, because then as fans
start to
we know we
speculate
get to look
matchups
forward
and-
to.
More
We
exciting.
we'll talk about it more.
Mhm.
It would be if you put a bracket up, different media outlets they're gonna start pushing it out there for you. What do you think about the way Bellator promotes their fights and fighters?
I think it could be done at a higher level, to be honest.
Yeah.
It could be done at a higher level. UFC, back in the day, were the best at it.
Yeah.
Now that they've kind of changed their formula, and it's not what it used to be, in my opinion. I think there was a point where they had it down. They make you a star like this.
Yeah.
There was a point.
They don't do that in Bellator. They don't. Their
They
video.
don't, and that's
Their
the
video
biggest
department
mistake.
is not. I don't think on par with what the UFC's video department is great. They put out great little clips on YouTube. They really pump stuff out. They're like a. They make stars.
They tell the story.
They tell the story, and that's what you need to hear. That's what fans want to hear. I want to relate to this guy. I want to learn about him. I want to see his struggles and things he had to persevere through. And
I have a couple ideas on what Bellator's not doing that's kind of seem obvious. They bring in a lot of on the undercard too. I get bringing in local guys on the undercard, but getting guys to sell tickets, save some money on a flight, maybe a hotel. But the money that you saved, if you would have put that onto a billboard, you would probably sell more tickets from paying for a billboard than getting some local guy to go out and get his friends to buy
Sure.
tickets. You know what I
Sure.
mean? The promotion can be done so much better, and having these big corporations behind you, Viacom, Paramount, they have networks. You could promote it on their networks,
Yeah.
and they also have sister or brother
they have
networks,
country music
partner
television,
networks.
which is like a sister
Yeah,
channel.
just why I don't understand what Bellator is doing right now. It's because the sport in the US needs Bellator. The UFC needs competition. Competition breeds improvement.
I
Right?
agree with that. I agree with 100%. I'm not an expert in production and all that, but I know that Pride did it in a certain way. They gave you that feeling when you were watching a Pride
Yeah.
fight. And UFC did it in a certain way that you felt you were watching something historical. Bellator I don't feel like I'm watching something as historical as they could be at this point because they've done so many shows.
Yeah, where's the differentiation? Like, because did you watch Ryzen over New Year's?
No, I didn't.
It was pretty great. They had a great card, but when you watch Ryzen, the production's different.
It's like Pride.
It looks exactly like Pride. Some of the graphics, music, they let the fighter talk. You can't just create a company that copies kind of what UFC does, but on a lower level. Like it's hard to really stand out because there's a lot of companies that are just not going to be able to compete with the UFC. It's tough though because it definitely takes a lot of money. But when you have a company like Viacom behind you,
then you have a lot of money.
Spend that cash. They own MTV, Nickelodeon,
and they want. I mean, they invest into the sport because they want a product that does well, and I don't understand. The corporations know you got to spend money to make money.
Well, they're paying those top guys so much, and then the bottom guys like nothing. Like
we putting you in the hot seat?
No.
Okay,
We're cool. It's tough at the bottom.
It's
very tough. In MMA bottom, man, it's not easy. So
Bellator bottom is hard, man.
I imagine so.
You're probably better off not go fighting in Bellator or staying in those local shows and
maybe
until you can get on the main card because they'll pay those guys $500. $500 is like the first fight.
Wow. Yeah. See,
that's
crazy. I just would like to see them do better in that department because, like I said, competition breeds improvement, and like we need it. The sport needs it. The sport, it's the fastest growing sport in the world, and the UFC is the spearhead of that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but when you start competing with the UFC in that department, or even making them have to look over their shoulder.
Yeah.
That'll make the whole thing better, man.
Yeah, if you look down the list of what UFC does, they have things like UFC Tonight, you have the Contender Series, you have there's so many different avenues of trying to create these stars. Bellator doesn't do any of that.
Let's start a promotion. Or let's take over Bellator. What do you say, Firas?
I'm in. I like that idea.
All right, we'll talk to them.
Who's going to be the CEO?
We'll see how they feel about that.
I'll be the CEO.
Oh, damn, I was going to say it. Fine.
I'll be the CEO. And you guys will be my right-hand man.
I'll be the matchmaker.
There you go.
Okay.
I like that.
You take care of production.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
There you go.
You got it.
We're coming.
We're coming, guys. Get ready.
Yeah. I do want production because I would have like girls shoot I would have like 8 girls come out with t-shirt cannons and like flames and it'd be big.
Cannons and flames.
More ring girls.
more ring dancers.
The ring will be ring girls. 50.
You gotta have different spectacles. You gotta make something exciting. Come up with a different formula. Steal what Pride does. Have the guys come out before the fight and show them on the
presentation.
Show the presentation.
I just would want them to do.
Do confetti after the main event. There's ways to just up it. Like if the Rory Lima fight, if they kept it as the main event, then you have the opportunity to do confetti. You're not going to do confetti for a quarterfinal win. So it's like there's just ways to just make it look a little bigger.
Yeah.
You guys remember Affliction?
Yes.
Yeah. Affliction had their first show. They spent the most money than any promotion out there.
I love Affliction.
Remember they had Donald Trump involved. They had De La Hoya.
They had Mark Cuban and stuff. Yeah.
Who's who?
I went to the press conference for Fedor Barnett, the one that got canceled.
Very little people watch. Why?
Right.
Because it's not about hey,
spectacle,
get these two big names. No, there's a story to tell. UFC told us a story.
Yeah.
Since UFC 1.
But Affliction never had an avenue. They were trying to find like a home.
They were just like, okay, that guy's famous, put him together.
Yeah,
like,
Bellator has the opportunity.
That doesn't work.
Because they already have the avenue. They already have the viewership, and so they can add a little more spectacle or tweak their production or... There's just ways to create stars.
But they can also add, what's better, and I agree with what Firas is saying, what's better is they can add a story. They can tell a story, and they're not telling one.
Well, like the stuff you do at UFC, like they don't have like a pre-fight show type of thing. There's no catching people up on their last 5 fights. It's what the commentator's saying while they're walking out.
Yeah, but you look at UFC, what they did the Tough Show.
Yeah.
How many stars did they make with the Ultimate Fighter?
So many.
The first 10 seasons
some champions out of there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bellator never did anything like that.
No.
They did one thing, but it wasn't...
They did one. It was called like Fight Master.
Yeah, they did, but they didn't farm
Fight
their
Master,
own.
yeah. But the thing is, they didn't work out well. They didn't have that hit yet.
Yeah.
They did. And the thing is that UFC did it first, And you can't copy them now. You have to
And
do
that's
it, you
what
have
was
to
the
do it
problem.
you have to get it another way.
Something
And
different.
I don't think it'll work anymore. Tough, like it's not as popular as it used to be.
No.
We have to find a new way to tell the story, and that's what markets are. Right?
And you know what you need for that? An ideas guy.
Yeah, an ideas guy right here. You got Eve Edwards. Give us a
I
new
got
idea.
so many. Okay, here's one idea. Let's talk about this.
Okay.
So we have a tournament, right?
Uh-huh.
But it's a season. You make the show the whole season, and this gives everybody a chance to rest because, let's say, Andrew and I are fighting each other in the first episode of the season.
Yep.
Then they follow us around for that week of the show. They
It's
edit
easy
that
because we
down.
always hang out, so they only need one camera
They
crew.
only need one camera, and then they show our fight, and then they keep us. You know, they talk to us and get our input on the other guys as their fights come up, and the other guys get their input on us during our episode. We know the other guys who are on the same side of our bracket, and other guys on the other side. Yeah, I like that guy. I've watched that guy. I want to fight that guy because of this and this. And we all go through it. But it's with the 8-man tournament, that's 4 fights, 2 fights, 1 fight. So that's 7 episodes, right? And you have a whole season. And you just play. You let everybody live in their environment. You let everybody train where they train. You go to them, just like the UFC does with the embedded shows and whatever. But the embedded show turns into a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you have that one man at the
You
end.
see the
who wins it
actual
all.
real training, not
Yeah, that's interesting.
not training in
Like
a.
that's one way to. I got a bunch of ideas. Like hire me if you want to do some amazing things in front of the camera.
job
I'm telling
title,
you.
ideas guy.
That's
Ideas
it.
guy.
That's me. That's
There are
that's a good
places
job.
that hire people just for ideas.
Yeah.
What do you do for a living?
Startups do that.
I got ideas.
Startups bring guys for ideas all the time. We have consultants that come in here that really
That
just,
one was free,
They're really
so-
just ideas guys.
That one was free.
Yeah, I may cut it out maybe.
How about this? How about we make a promotion? Our
Mm-hmm.
promotion. We haven't named it yet, and we have an app, and the fans match make the fights. There's
That's
a
cool.
roster. And here's our categories of fights. So fighters with 3 fights and less, fighters with 3 fights and more, 5 fights and more, and whatever. And the fans vote. We want to see this matchup. And,
Oh yeah, be like these
and they
8
kind of
guys.
bid
Are,
on the matchups with their points or whatever. We figure out a way that the fans match
Bitcoin.
the fights. You know what I mean? And then we do something like that. Maybe.
there's a company that does kind of has a similar thing. It's a football. There's a football
Really?
league. There's an arena football league that is letting fans choose the players, call the plays and stuff too through the app and stuff based on you can buy coins and stuff.
That's
and you-
crazy. I'm not running it on 3rd and 15 just because some dude in Minnesota wants to send a text.
Some rich guy's like, watch this. They're gonna kneel it. They're gonna kneel it on third and 15.
I'm gonna spend all my points for this
I spent
play.
20 grand on that right there. That's actually a good idea. A fight company by the fans for the fans.
Yeah, that's a huge idea.
Yeah.
Like,
Something I think the UFC could take something like that. Like
I just lost my title as ideas guy.
ideas
No,
spark
you're still ideas.
ideas spark other ideas.
Yeah, exactly. We shared that one.
Competition.
Yeah,
breeds
UFC could
improvement.
take something like that. We just gotta sell them an idea. and then-
Or we do a promotion where 2 guys they fight on a boat with alligators, and the loser we chuck him in the water.
That's cool.
Yeah?
You do it down in Costa Rica.
You have to have a perfect record, because if you lose,
Yeah.
we chucked you in the
I
water.
like that. I've always wanted to do
Everybody's
like
like 3-0.
Every 3-0,
I've always wanted to do
5-0.
something where it's like a big open green screen mat with a green screen background, and then you at home can change the background of the fight. You can be like, I want them at the Mortal Kombat,
Yeah.
I want Street Fighter,
That'd be dope.
right?
Here's a trivia question. You guys just made me think about it. What was the UFC's original name? They were not called the Ultimate Fighting Championship when they
Ultimate
first
Fighting Challenge.
Nope.
Really?
The original name they thought of was the King of the Beach.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I like that.
The
I don't
King
like
of
that.
the Beach. Believe it or not, that was the name of the original promotion. Then they later changed it to UFC because they couldn't do it in. I think they wanted to do it in California at first,
Okay.
and then had to move it to Denver. So it
Yeah.
couldn't be King of the Beach anymore.
You gotta bring some sand.
Yeah, no
King of the
sand.
Mountain. He should have called it King of the Mountain. Think of that.
Ideas, guy.
Ideas guy.
Look what you missed out on.
Alright,
SCG
let's
missed
bat
out
that
on.
quick. Bat that quick. before you
King
end
of
this.
the Mountain Championship.
That's it right there.
That's the name of our.
If you
That's it, yeah.
if you were friends with
That's our
Art,
promotion.
if you were friends with Art Davey back then, it could have happened.
Yeah. Our Dave, you lost out because that's our promotion now. We're taking it to Denver. We're gonna start in
Let's
Boulder.
have them fight on top of a mountain.
That's
Right?
it.
That's
In the winter.
that's cool. Another one that you can do too is you have a fight on a helipad, fight on the top
exactly.
of a mountain, crazy Fans really couldn't even
High
go
altitude.
there.
Do we give them oxygen between rounds or no?
No.
No oxygen match.
No oxygen. Train hard. Train hard.
Train harder.
Work hard. Work hard.
Be in better shape.
Well, cool.
So we had a really good time hanging out with Firas. We got to know him a little bit, talk about some of the guys that he's trained, get to know some of his background in martial arts. This is a whole lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
Firas, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, boys.
Speaking of background, what do you want the background to be right now? Anywhere you want to go?
I have one more question before we do that.
Wait, let him choose the background.
No, because these questions going to do his backgrounds.
Okay.
So Firas, I asked you this yesterday, so cut that out, please. Firas,
Yeah.
how many languages do you speak?
3 languages.
And what are those languages?
French, Arabic, and English.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do France.
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 That's good. I like that.
Somewhere, some Arabic
Lebanon, a
nation.
little bit of Lebanon.
There we
Okay,
go.
okay.
Scenery.
That's
Scenery.
And
And,
England. We'll put a Big Ben.
Yeah, I'll try to find like a good 3-hour video. Maybe the city will be moving behind us.
A few shots
Yeah.
of TriStar, maybe.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. And
This
then
is
I'm
it.
like, oh,
This is why we don't have a set really. This is so we can change it.
That's what we'll do. We'll be in your gym for a bit when we talk about. when we
Like
talk
right
about-
now,
you teach
TriStar. Right now,
beautiful.
Lebanon.
Wait a minute. Let's go to the Bahamas because I like the beach and I want him to see my home country. So let's go to the Bahamas.
Oh, it's beautiful here.
Very nice.
Oh, very nice.
Glad you like it.
That's cool. Thank you.
So we had a whole lot. We had a really good time bringing Firas in. Thank you so much for coming in. Good luck tomorrow with Rory. I'm really excited about that fight. I've trained with Douglas in the past. Like I said, at the events in the UFC when Rory and I were both there, it was so much fun talking, and we rode the bus a lot together. And the first time I sat next to him, I was afraid because he had that serial killer look on his face. But we were cool, so that was good. He didn't go American Psycho on me. And then, yeah, that's really it, man. Thank you so much for coming in.
Boys, it was a pleasure. Thank you. And
Thank
we'll
you
do it
so
again
much,
next time
yeah.
I'm in LA.
Absolutely.
All right?
Thank
Awesome.
you, Firas.
That's
Thank
the
you,
Thug Jitsu Master and the Squid. We're out.
All right, guys. That was great.
Man, thank you so much. That was so much fun.
Yeah? All right.
I hope we didn't bore you too
No,
much.
no, I had a great time. I thought it was fun. I'm sure the fans will like it. Oh shit, did you call anybody?